and stand naked the whole night. The next morning, a truck with a red cross came, and they pushed it into us, one on top of the other. We thought that they were going to take us to the gas chambers. Instead, we were taken to the Auschwitz I camp. A Polish man came out of the building, and he asked us to call out our numbers. I said, 128232. He looked at a paper and asked my name. I said, Slama Rodensky, which is my name in Polish, and doesn't sound like a Jewish name. He asked me where I was from. Warsaw, I said. How long was I there? I was raised there, I said. He started to cuss at me like I had never heard before in my life. He pulled me out of the line and put me in a corner. He said, "Stay here." He brought me a piece of blanket to cover myself with. I was freezing, so he brought me inside the barracks. I laid down. I did not want to know what was happening or what to think. A young guy came up to me and said, "I know you." I asked him, "Who are you?" He said his name was Ulrich, and that he knew me from Majdanek. I asked him what this place was. He said it was the hospital barracks, Block 20. He told me, "It is very bad here. Dr. Mengele comes 2 times a week to make selections. But this is Tuesday, and he will not come again this week. I will let you know what is going to happen." I had not eaten since Monday. He gave me bread. Ulrich had been there 5 weeks. He had come from Majdanek to Auschwitz the same day as I did. 2 of the doctors at the hospital knew his grandfather, who had been their rabbi in Krakow. They had hidden him from Dr. Mengele. Those doctors had tried to help hide Jewish people in Krakow. When the SS came, they killed the Jews they hid and took the doctors to Auschwitz. On Thursday, Ulrich came to me and said, "You have to get out of here." I said, "What am I going to do? Jump from the 2nd floor window?" In the afternoon, he came again and said, "You have to get out of here, or after tomorrow you're going to be dead." About an hour later, a man came and sat at the table. He asked, "Who wants to go to work?" The Poles in the hospital were not worried about going to work. Why should they go to work when they were getting packages from the Red Cross and having enough to eat? I had to get this work. The man at the table asked me my number, and then he cussed me out. I begged him, "I want to go out. I have friends outside. Please let me out." He gave me a piece of paper that said Block 6. I walked to Block 6, and I showed the paper. The man there said, "I cannot let you in until 9 o'clock at night." I stayed there until the men returned from work. One asked me, "You are new here. Where are you from and what did you do?" I said, "I am from Warsaw, and I was a furrier." He asked me where I lived, and I told him. He asked me if I knew a certain man's name, and I said, "Yes, he is a furrier too, and he lives in such and such street." One of the men said, "I don't believe you. What is this man called? He has a nickname." I said, "This man has a little piece of skin hanging down by his left ear, and they call him Tzatzik, Yiddish nipple." When I said this, they started to help me. They brought me a big piece of bread and some cold soup. They asked me where I was going to work, and I showed them the piece of paper. They said, "Oh no, you will not make it over 8 or 10 days in that job." The job was to work in a coal mine. The longest anyone lives in that job is about 2 weeks. After that, they go to the crematorium. I was scared. My number was registered as working there. I said, "If I do not go there, then I am going to be hanged next to the kitchen, and the prisoners are going to walk by me." They said, "Don't worry." One guy calls another guy and says, "Go fix this." They went to the capo with the piece of paper. This capo was a murderer. He had a single green triangle. The Germans opened up the jails, and they made the prisoners our bosses. Some of the boys worked in Canada. When the transports came, they separated the valuables. They risked their lives to smuggle out gold and other things. Every day they brought this capo cigarettes or salami, so he said, "Yes." The next morning, they woke me up and they took me with them. They put me in the middle of the line and we walked together out of the gate. They told me that as soon as we get out of the gate, I would be safe because over 6,000 prisoners walk out of the gate every day and nobody knows who is who. There was a beautiful orchestra playing by the gate. They would not let me go to the other job. I stayed with them until the last minute when Auschwitz was liquidated. They helped me out with little pieces of bread and a little soup. One day the boys asked me if I could make a cap for the capo, and they brought me some striped material. I took a piece of string to take a measurement. I asked them for some thread and a needle, and I made the cap in about 2 hours. For stiffness, I took some paper from a cement bag and doubled the material at the top. The capo liked the cap. I was his guy from then on, and he never beat me the whole time. I was working for over a year with the boys at the same job, digging sand. 10 of us worked in the sand mine. There was a little guy from Breslau that we made our supervisor. He stood on top, and we were 20 feet down below. Every day we loaded up a wagon with the sand and pushed it 16 kilometers. That was 2 trips of 14 kilometers one way and 4 kilometers coming back, over 10 miles a day. Twice a day we carried sand to Birkenau to cover the ashes of the dead. The sand was to cover the ashes that came from the crematoria. I did this for more than a year. The ovens were on one side of the crematoria, and the ashes came out this side. The other side, where the gas chamber was. The Sonderkommando took the ashes out of the ovens. There were big holes for the ashes, and we covered the ashes with sand. I saw when the transports came. I saw the people who were going in, who to the right and who to the left. I saw who was going to the gas chambers. I saw the people going to the real showers, and I saw the people going to the gas. In August and September of 1944, I saw them throw living children into the crematorium. They would grab them by an arm and a leg and throw them in. One Saturday, when we were working, we turned around and saw a soldier with a rifle, so we started to speed up. The soldier said, "Slow down, today is your Sabbath." He was a Hungarian, and he said, "Come to my barracks at 4 o'clock, and I will have something for you. I will put out a bucket with trash in it. Look under the trash, and you will find 11 pieces of bread." For 2 or 3 weeks, he put bread out for us. He asked us to bring him money from Canada, which we did. He used to tell us the names of the Jewish holidays. One day, he disappeared. The Russians were pushing back the Germans at Stalingrad. Transports were coming from the Lodz ghetto. That is when we saw them grab the little children by the head and the leg and throw them into the crematoria alive. Then the Hungarian people were coming. There was a group of young people who wanted to destroy the crematoria. There were 4 crematoria in Birkenau. The young girls worked at the ammunition factory, and they smuggled in explosives. One crematorium was destroyed. They hung 2 of the girls in front of us when we came back from work. Life was going on. Every day was a different problem, until January 18th, 1945, when they began liquidating Auschwitz. On the 18th, I left Auschwitz, and 9 days later the Russians liberated it. Those 7 days cost me 5 months. When we left, everybody had to get out of the barracks. I was walking the whole night with the rabbi from Soswinek. The rabbi had come from Block 2, which was the tailor shop. I saw that the soldiers behind us were shooting the people who fell down. The rabbi fell down in the road, and this boy from Belgium and I held up the rabbi between us and kept walking. We saw a sled pulled by a soldier, and we asked him if we could pull the sled with the rabbi in it until morning. The guys who lived in Block 2, the tailor's barracks, could get some of the gold and the diamonds that people had sewn into the linings of their clothes. They gave their block leader some gold and diamonds to let them hide the rabbi in the barracks. They hid him in a closet that they had built in the wall. They put the rabbi in the closet when they went out to roll call at 6 o'clock in the morning and took him out when they came back in the evening. Many times I went there at 5 o'clock in the morning to say Kaddish for my parents with the rabbi. At daylight, we came to a small town, and the farmers let us stay in the stables. In the evening, we had to get out. We walked to a railroad station. In 2 days, the train brought us to Gross Rosen Camp. I never saw the rabbi again. Gross Rosen was murder. The guards walked around with iron pipes in their hands. They said, "We are going to help you. We are going to get you out of here." We were put in a shed with 2,000 men. In the daytime, we had to stand up, and at night we slept head to foot. The only food we got was a slice of bread and a cup of coffee at night. I thought I was going to die there. They walked us to the railroad station, and in 3 days we came to